We're solving all kind of problems here. Tonight's Daily Viewpoint, as we mentioned just before the break, Democrats and Republicans differ. Okay, that much we got. In particular, in their enthusiasm for education spending and how those dollars should be spent. But they tend to agree on the general need to invest more or focus more on education, but just where? Where and how to do it is the question. A new poll from UT and the Texas Tribune highlights these differences. Supporters of Democrat Wendy Davis in general favor increased teacher pay as a way to move the needle in education in Texas. But school vouchers tend to be favored more by Republicans on the other side of the aisle. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are once again in an election cycle in Texas. This debate always comes up. Education is not satisfactory in our fair state. How can we improve things?
Or anywhere else in the country.
Well, or anywhere else.
That's true.
We're not unique in that. Good point.
That's true.
Right.
Is there a way to reconcile these two beliefs? Or is it got to be one way or the other to improve the condition?
I don't see any way to reconcile the two beliefs myself. You know, I look at my own life and that of so many people that I know. Without public education, we would still be cleaning hotel rooms or somebody's house, you know, without public education, and then public assistance at a state university and so on. I see vouchers as a way of destroying public education. If you've ever been to a third world country where public education is not free, you see what a difference it makes in the lives of individuals. And where people have to pay to go to school, you know, it's very limited. Women, for example, even in a country where, like, say, somewhere in Africa, everybody may be the same color, but gender does make a difference. Males go to school, females don't. I, instead of giving Christmas presents this year, decided to give to a fund that will allow girls in Malawi a chance to get a high school education. And, you know, $170 pays for a whole year of education for a girl. I chose to do that opposed to giving Christmas presents to family members. So I value public education and what it means to the masses. And I'm afraid that vouchers undermine that.
Vouchers will undermine that.
Yeah.
So you would support some means of improving the conditions in public education, which might include increasing teacher pay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, the quality of we can even say that certain students who are gifted maybe will be in different classes as they are so often. There's room for improvement in the way public education is administered in this country.
Chris, how do you see it?
Most spending per child, that's per district or per state or district, and the federal government is in Washington, D.C. That's
Can I just do something? This is kind of bothering me here.
Go ahead. What's about
what? Your column.
Oh, thank you very much. I didn't know I was sticking on.
Now, go ahead.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead.
Very
I'm
much.
listening. I'm listening.
It equates to about $18,000 per student.
Right. Right.
Washington, D.C. ranks 49th out of 50 as far as academic performance is concerned. So the idea that throwing more money at the problem is going to solve the issue is a complete fallacy. Also evidence of this, private schools, parochial schools, and charters that are able to kick the collective behinds of public schools in academic performance, even though they have a fraction of the budget. The competition is what vouchers introduce. Competition will allow, if the public education system is great, it will attract those voucher dollars. We need to put the emphasis back in, or the control back into parents' hands to make the determination as to how best educate their child. If the public education system does well, then they have nothing to worry about. Having the money guarantees you no matter what. Right now, the money follows the institution. It doesn't follow the child. And what happens? You get public taxpayers that pay the salaries of these teachers. They get assessed dues by their union, and the union gives to who? Democrat candidates. Republicans are tired of funding their own political opposition and would like a more competitive nature in our education system. And competition, as we all know, breeds excellence. And
But
that is what is missing from our education
Isn't
system.
it invariably going to undermine the kind of safety net that we have in public education that Iola was talking about?
No,
more and more vouchers.
Why would it? Because for those who wanted to attract those voucher dollars, again, it's the free market, they would up their game. They would no longer have teachers on staff who were underperforming, and the teachers that did perform well, guess what? As far as raises, the best raise is when you're doing well and you get compensated for doing well. That's how you get the raise. You earn it.
But you don't need a voucher to go to public school.
That's true. But vouchers would would force the public education system to compete for those dollars. Right now, they get it automatically. They get it automatically. What?
With no extra funding. I mean, the vouchers are supplemental
in fact,
funding.
you're taking money away from public education by giving them vouchers.
Yeah.
But
and again,
assuming,
you know, something else we haven't even touched on here is that most private schools are religious schools, and it really violates the separation between church and state. Again, another argument in favor of public schools.
So, but guys, isn't there a way to combine? You have good ideas. He's got good. Can't we fix this by saying, look, vouchers can work in some cases, but not if they're going to undermine
I see it
the safety
the same
net.
way that is what happened with charter schools. My experience with charter schools has not been good, and I've had some first-hand experience with charter schools.
With members of your family
yes,
in charter schools?
in charter schools.
Didn't work.
And I've seen it for neighbors and other folks that, you know, I've been close to. Some of these charter schools are just alternative schools for children who misbehave, who don't want to go and sit up in a classroom for how many hours.
And they aren't held to the same standards?
They are not, and they're just warehousing kids there. That,
Chris?
as a
don't want to go to
nation,
public
as a
school.
nation, we have to make up our mind. Do we want to invest in public education, or do we want to invest in our students? If we are truly committed to the students, we will give the money to the students and allow the parents to make the best determination as to which school fits that family's needs.
Public education is what made this nation great, and without it, I think we will become less so.
Okay, well, there you go. See, that's the problem. We've got one view and the other, and it's hard, it's really hard to blend them. Coming up next on the Texas Daily, a look back at the career of the one and only Harold Ramis. You may not know the name, but you know this guy and you know this film. We're going to look back. Coming up next.